Before we jump into today's case, I want to thank Shudder for sponsoring this video. It's no secret, but summer is over, there's a chill in the air, and spooky season has arrived. So it's a perfect time to watch scary movies. And there's no better place for horror than Shudder, which has kicked off its annual 61 Days of Halloween, a 2-month supersized celebration full of new movies and series, like a new season of Creepshow and VHS 94. And that's just the start of Shudder's unbeatable Halloween lineup. I've been enjoying Shudder for a while now. A title I recently enjoyed on Shudder was Superhost, which reminded me of some of the cases I've covered on this channel. There are new specials from Elvira and Joe Bob Briggs, and the new docu-series, Behind the Monsters, on the origins and pop culture dominance of your favourite modern movie monsters. Make sure to get started on streaming the best horror, thriller and supernatural content. Shudder's expertly curated collection includes must-see titles like Vicious Fun, The Mortuary Collection and PG, Psycho Gorman, plus all the best horror documentaries and the hit Creepshow TV series, The Walking Dead. Try Shudder free for 30 days. Go to shudder.com and use promo code briefcase, and I'll see you over there. Today we are looking at a case from the mid-19th century, so sit back as we go to Denmark. Ane Cathrine Andersdatter was born on the 30th of October 1829 in the village of Karbeck in Denmark. She had some education, as in 1814 all children in Denmark were given the legal right to 7 years of schooling under the supervision of the church. Anna, however, left as soon as she was able and started to work in domestic service. Denmark was going through a period of change. On the 5th of June 1849, it became a constitutional monarchy. The country's first railways were constructed in the 1850s, and improved communications and overseas trade meant that more industries started to develop. Anna worked for a family who owned a farm in Helufsmal. She worked well, but in 1852 she became pregnant. The father of the unborn child also worked on the farm, but had no intention of marrying her. On the 8th of January 1853, she gave birth to a baby girl at the Royal Birth Foundation. This was an institution that had been established in 1750 for unmarried women who wanted to give birth anonymously. It provided free medical care and reduced the risk for these young mothers who may otherwise have tried to give birth in secret. At the time, the authorities were indifferent when it came to the fathers of illegitimate children, and it was up to the mothers to hold them accountable. A mother did not have to say who the father was, but if she did, the gentleman could swear an oath that he had not fathered the baby and then would have no responsibility for the child's welfare and upkeep. If, however, the gentleman confessed to being the father, he would be made to pay child support until the child was 10 years old, at which time the father would be no longer required to do so. Unmarried mothers and their babies were considered immoral and often had to rely on institutions. Some people thought that a child received out of wedlock would have inherited their parents' lack of moral character and often did not want them mixing with their own children. Family and friends could not be relied upon to offer any type of help or support. This meant that women in the same situation as Anna would have very few opportunities to find employment. With very few options, and a father who was unwilling to help, she decided that she would go to the city of Ringsted and put her baby into care. She had become desperate and felt tired and abandoned. As she travelled on foot, she sat down by the side of a small country road. In front of her was a small ditch full of water. There was no one about. She then placed her baby daughter in the water and held her head until she drowned. Not wanting to be seen, Anna then dug a shallow grave and placed the baby inside before covering it again with earth. As she was not expected back in her rooms until the following day, she found shelter for the night. She returned the next morning, telling everyone that inquired that she had delivered the baby safe and well to be looked after in Ringsted. By the summer of 1854, Anna had moved closer to Copenhagen as she had found another position in domestic service for a family who owned a farm in the village of Banfredhøj. Her days were spent cleaning and washing. She was now 25 years old and met a gentleman who worked on the farm. He proposed to her and she happily accepted, although no wedding date was set. Soon after, she again found herself pregnant. This time, however, she thought it would be different, as she would at least get married, and she would not be considered an unprincipled woman and looked down on by the respectable married ladies in the community. However, when she told her fiancé that she was with child, he denied that they were engaged and denied that he could be the father of the baby that she was carrying. Anna then discovered that he was in fact already married. Although she found herself in a very difficult position, on the 3rd of April 1855, she gave birth to a baby boy. The memories of what has happened to her daughter 2 years previously were still very much on her mind, and she was determined that things would be different this time. She decided to ask the baby's father for help and made her way to the town where he now lived. She knew about the problems she would face if he did not assist her. Finding work would be extremely difficult, and she would have to seek the assistance of charitable institutions. However, she then remembered how her baby's father had reacted when she told him that she was pregnant, and how he had deceived her by not telling her that he was married. She sat down and wondered what to do. She then saw a well. There was no one around, so she took the baby and threw him into the well. She then quickly moved on and left the village. A month later, the body of a baby boy was discovered in the well. The police opened an investigation to try and find the person responsible. Unfortunately, many people had passed through the village. No one had reported that they had seen anything suspicious, and the police soon realised that it was unlikely that they would be able to find the perpetrator. A few weeks later, they closed the investigation. Anna was again pregnant in 1856 and gave birth to another baby boy. This time, however, the child's father took responsibility. He told Anna that he did not want to marry her, but his mother would take care of the baby. Anna happily agreed to the arrangement. Somewhat strangely, she continued the relationship with her child's father, although he continually said that he would not marry her. In 1860, she was pregnant again. She decided not to tell the baby's father. Instead, she told him that she had to look after her mother, who was very ill back in the town of Carbeck. She then travelled to Copenhagen, where on the 15th of February 1861, she gave birth to another baby boy. The birth foundation housed with a family in the centre of the city, and everything seemed fine. But Anna was anxious to move on. She told her hosts that her mother had found a home for the baby with a family back in Carbeck, and on the 5th of March, she would meet the family and give them the baby. When the day came, Anna got up early. It was a Tuesday. She looked out of the window. It was bright, cold, but not raining, and the streets were already very busy. She had some breakfast, fed her baby, and prepared to leave to meet the couple who were going to adopt her child. She said goodbye to the host family and left. She did not return until after dark, and told her host that the baby had been collected. On the 30th of March 1861, the body of a baby was found. It had been recovered from a well. The discovery reminded people of the baby who had been found 6 years earlier in the same well, and the police realised that this time they really did need to find the person responsible. Witnesses came forward who described a lady acting suspiciously on the 5th of March, and as police made more inquiries, it seemed that the same person had first gone to Frederiksberg Castle Gardens and then gone on to Damhus Lake. People seemed to remember the date quite well, as the previous day, which was the 4th of March, Abraham Lincoln had been inaugurated as the 16th President of the United States, and they remembered reading about it in the papers the following day. They also remembered that many people seemed to be out walking and enjoying the unseasonal weather. When they were told that Anna had met a couple from Carbeck and given them her baby, the police thought it suspicious. They questioned her, and to their surprise, she made a full confession. Not only did she tell them about the events of the 5th of March 1861, she also told them a long tale about her tragic life, becoming pregnant by 2 men who refused to support her or her babies, and desperate and ashamed how in 1853 she had drowned her daughter in a small pool of water and buried her in a shallow grave, and in 1856 threw her son into a well to his death. Ane Cathrine was charged with murder. The trial had gained much interest from the Danish public, but there was no doubt about the verdict. Anna had confessed to the crimes, and everyone thought that the sentence would be death by beheading. However, 8 of the 10 court justices wanted to spare her life. They said that she was a poor domestic servant and an unmarried mother who was unable to properly care for her children, but she had always worked hard and repented for what she had done, finding comfort in her faith. Anna said that she was unable to support her babies, and the only option would have been to give them away. Nevertheless, she was sentenced to death. It was not common for people to be executed in Denmark, especially women. The king had the power to commute the sentence, and usually did. However, Anna had not killed 1 child, but 3. She was now repentant, but following the first death, she allowed herself to get pregnant again outside wedlock. Even when her 3rd child was looked after by the father's mother, she did not consider that she would be able to tell him about another, so killed the baby. On this occasion, it was not commuted, and King Frederick VII upheld the sentence. When Anna was told about the king's decision, she received the news with great resolve. She was aware that she had committed the most terrible of crimes, and was prepared to accept her fate. On the 21st of December 1861, Anna woke up early and was placed in the back of a prison cart. She was taken to the courthouse. When she arrived, she saw that there were many people waiting outside the building, which would be the place of her execution. When she climbed onto the scaffold, she said a prayer and placed her head on the block. The executioner then swung the axe, and Ane Cathrine Andersdatter was dead. She was the last woman to be executed in Denmark. The body of her baby girl was never found. Hello everyone, and thank you so much for listening. As usual, please leave any comments or feedback you may have, and I hope to see you all again in the next brief case.